Hello, everybody. Looks like we got a live stream going on Facebook. We'll get some confirmation of that shortly. But in the meantime, welcome. We're just going to keep letting folks pour on in here to our Zoom room for Tea with Lee until the numbers stop going up quite so fast, and then we'll get started. Hope you all are having a great day so far. And looks like we're still counting up here, so we're just going to keep letting people trickle in, and then we'll get started in just a sec. All right.
And it looks like we are good on Facebook. So I'm confirming from Zach.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Great. Welcome everybody on Facebook, and welcome everybody here in Zoom for today's Tea with Lee. We're going to go ahead and get started in just a minute here. So looks like we are all gooded up on all of our platforms. Liz Beth is saying, so no camera on this one. Yes, this is done webinar style, so we can do the Q&A button, and that means that you don't get to turn on your camera. And then, so here's how things are going to work today, folks. If you're here in our Zoom, we're going to go ahead and have a little chat. We're going to get some tea going on our side. So please do go ahead and get some tea going on your side. And if you haven't already, please jump on into the chat and let us know where you're tuning in from. But the important thing about the chat in Zoom is you have to change it to say everyone, because by default, the little blue thing above the message box says hosts and panelists. You want to change that to everyone. So wish we could do it for you, but we can't. Anyway, please do jump in the chat. Let us know where you're tuning in from, and we'll get started in just a sec. All right. How you doing over there, Mr. Holden?
Hey, I'm doing good, Ben.
You look good.
I'm excited to be drinking some tea with all y'all.
Awesome. Excited to drink tea with you as always. And yeah, check out where all these folks are coming in from.
Okay, let me check it out. I'll pop into the chat here. Oh, wow, look at that. I love it.
Wexford, Ireland, Spain, Belgium, Naples, Florida, Colorado, Portland, Oregon,
Texas,
Columbia,
Kentucky, Netherlands,
UK, Lafayette, Louisiana, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. I always love this. It's just so cool. That
Saskatchewan. Where's Saskatchewan? Is that Canada?
It is. It's sort of.
I just like saying that.
Yep, it's a fun word to say. Yeah. You're all tuning in from all over the world. What's so amazing about our community is that there's people all over the world who are doing Qigong, often on our live classes together at the same time. And it's just such a beautiful thing. So here's what we're going to do today, folks. We're going to hang out with Lee. We're going to have some tea and have a nice little process of becoming present here and let people continue to filter in because they're continuing to trickle in. And then a little bit later, we're going to go ahead and allow you to ask your questions in the Q&A here in Zoom. There's a Q&A button. So don't put them in the chat. We won't see them. Put them in the Q&A button, please. And we'll go through and just answer as many as we can. If you're in Facebook, you can put them in comments. And we do have somebody over there collecting Facebook questions for later. But if you're here in Zoom, please put them in the Q&A button. Let's go ahead and ask your questions. Who you got there with you, Lee?
Somebody had to make an appearance. Look, she's waving.
Hi, Harper.
She's crawling 1,000,000 miles an hour. She just like jetted across. You heard his name.
Hi, Harper. How you doing? What a cutie.
She's saying a lot now. There she goes. She understands.
There it is.
Good Qigong move.
Nice losing it. That's a good sign.
That's a good sign, yeah.
Future martial artist.
She says hot. Look at hot. Hot. Can you say it for everybody? I know it's your favorite word. Hot. Yeah, there you go. We got a quiet one.
Very quiet hot. That's very cute.
Usually the T comes like 3 seconds after. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Mhm.
Well,
Nice.
now that we know how hot your tea is, tell us what kind of tea you're drinking today, Mr. Holden.
I'm drinking a 2006 from a Bulong village in I've never been to a Bulong village, but is that funny? And it's delicious. It's from another Santa Cruz tea master who went over to China to do his thesis in ecology, and he ended up living in the Yunnan area and meeting a woman from this Bulong village, and they grow tea there. And he now is a tea master in China, cruises all over the place and makes really great tea.
Yep.
So it seems like the tea and China connection is well established between here and Santa Cruz.
Yeah, it's remarkable how much amazing stuff from China happened to land in Santa Cruz.
I know, it really is. And what I might share with you guys is this is a cup that I have made myself when I took my kids to a pottery class. So I just decided I might as well make a pottery tea cup. And it comes with all the kind of cool things that I like. At the bottom there is a bike chain representing mountain biking and some spirally chi. And then when you get to the bottom, it says tea and chi or chi and tea, something like that.
Tea and chi.
We'll see when I get to the bottom.
We'll
get to the bottom of this.
Yeah. Fantastic. That is super cool, man. How's it drink?
Oh, it's delicious.
Good and smooth.
It's good and smooth, yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, I'm drinking out of this cup. I think I've shared before on tea with Lee. This is a cup that has been one of my favorites. It's only a $10 cup or something like that, but it's a really cool blue and white. It's got some neat nature scene on this side. And I'm drinking a blend of unblended brick and Trinity and Lotus brick. So it's a hidden peak.
Wow, the trifecta, huh?
Greatest hits, the trifecta, exactly.
That is a quite a combination. I don't know I've ever tried that.
It's good. Yeah.
Okay.
I recommend it. Yeah. If you have all the raw ingredients, the blending of those three. Unblended brick is amazing. It blends with everything. It's just such a nice blender. And then Trinity and Lotus play nicely together. Folks, if you haven't already, and it looks like most people haven't, why don't you tell us what kind of tea you're drinking today? And Lee will get us ready and gear us up, and then we'll take a moment just to become present here in this space and time together. Lee will lead us on a little something there. And then before long, we'll start our Q&A. So if you haven't already, popped into the chat and let us know and what kind of tea you're drinking. Hibiscus tea right out of the gate. Good job, Ingrid. It is a delightful tea.
Hibiscus, delicious.
Pu'er tea, lemon ginger, fenugreek. Wow, that's fancy. Rare tea called water. Nice one, Heidi. Jasmine, Lady Grey, classic. Mate, yerba mate, very good. Qi, says Lee. Lisbeth is drinking a Scandinavian, very spicy fruit hot drink that they drink for Christmas. Sounds intriguing. I'm intrigued. Spicy fruit hot drink sounds intriguing. So who's drinking a smoothie, herbal detox. Amber's over there with the organic ginger peach. That is always good. Chaga mushrooms. I do love
Someone's drinking some TCM herbs.
Yeah.
Keeping them warm. It's not as tasty as Pu'er probably, but does the trick.
Yep. Oh, Claude's drinking some Lapsang Souchong. Got yourself a smoky tea there. Very good. Well, I'm excited to be sharing tea with all of you. And Lee, if you don't mind.
All right. Filling up that teacup here.
Perfect.
Well, let's get present and lined up for our session today. I'm just going to start off. Let's just bring our teacups to our heart. I love doing this as a ritual. And do a little Qigong move, a circular movement right in front of your heart. Now take a few deep breaths through your nose. We've been doing our breath work workshop. So breathe, Qi, T all together. Wow, what a wonderful combination. Almost as good as Ben's 3T concoction. So we're going to make a little stirring in. Now close your eyes, breathe slow, deep through your nose. I want you to put your mind on a couple of things today that you're grateful for. Could have been yesterday, the day before. Just a couple nice moments. Maybe a message from somebody, maybe a moment out in nature, looking at the stars, a smile from somebody's face, a laugh. It's the simple things, creating moments of gratitude each and every day. And let's just create one right now and sense and feel that hundreds of people all around the world are doing the same thing with you in this ritual. And we can stir together our heart energy and positive intentions to help create a little elevation in the group energy field.
Mm-hmm.
And let's drink to that.
I will.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers. I think I made my tea a little too dark, but that's not a bad thing.
You'll be grateful for that too, huh?
I am always grateful when I end up with dark tea. I'll drink to that. Well, folks, now that we're all here and we're all present and we're all in the right frame of mind, I'd love to start taking your questions. So if you have any questions that you'd like to ask of Lee or me or, well, really we're the two who are going to be here answering questions, please jump on into the Q&A here in Zoom and put them in there and we'll start working through them. A little while later, we will have some questions coming over from Facebook. So if you're on Facebook and you're watching live, please feel free to put your questions in the comments on Facebook and somebody will bring them over from there for us. Mr. Holden.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're going to answer some questions.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do that.
So the first question that I'm going to tee up is from Linda, and she's not the only one I know. When I do any routine that's longer than 20 minutes, my legs get tingly. Is it like I have a blockage? Is it possible there's some kind of blockage? How do I fix that?
Well, I mean, I don't know if this needs fixing because it just means Qi is moving in your leg. So that being said, there's good tingling and not so good tingling. Not so good tingly is like, you know, your leg is falling asleep, you're pinching something, it's kind of more nerve pain. Good tingling is that nice electrical feeling that the energy is buzzing through you. And so we do want the energy to move and circulate through the meridians of the legs. That's a good thing. But if you're feeling like something is cramping or pinching or like almost like falling asleep, then we can, do a few things. Often the tingle in the legs coming from the low back. And so one thing to do is shift the weight of your body towards your heels. So you just kind of root down into the heels and you're not putting so much pressure on the legs. So weight shift to the heels and then really consciously relax your tailbone and your low back, make some space in that lumbar area. The other thing that's could be happening is you're conditioning your legs, and we're often not used to standing that long. So it's like the roots of the tree are getting stronger and then they're getting deeper. And all of this is a good thing. We just don't want it to be irritating. Other things to do would be come up and down on your toes, just pump some energy through the lower legs. Just do that a few times. Or if need be, lie on your back, hug your knees to your chest, rock a little bit, then come back up to standing.
Yeah, those are all excellent ideas. The thing that comes to my mind is just sort of in the past, I have had little like not painful, but a little bit of tingling from like the sciatic nerve. And
yeah,
the stuff you talk about sort of letting the pelvis kind of relax and open up some room in the lumbar can help take that pressure off. And it certainly worked for me in the past. But the other thing that's worked really well is actually doing the Dao type movements, like in the low back workshop, or even the Legacy series product that I believe is on our website called Qigong for the low back. That's just one routine, or Qigong for low back pain. That's just one routine, but it really has helped me in the past. And I know a few other folks on our team have used it a lot in the past as well. So if it feels like it might be kind of like a more of a nervy thing, strength, some of the core strengthening and some of the other opening stuff that's in those low back routines can be very helpful for that. And it's helped me in the past for sure.
Nice.
What's the best way to learn more? This is Paul. What's the best way to learn more fundamentals of Qigong? Is your course a good way to start on the road to being an instructor?
Absolutely. Great question. And the nice thing is that we've been in business long enough and created enough courses, content, products where the path is really well paved, and you can also take your particular branch along the path that is really geared towards you. So we have, introduction to Qigong. We have the 7-minute exercises for short routines, getting people kind of habituated to the practice. And then we have the subscription. I mean, I think that subscription is a great place to start because you just get exposed to a lot of different kinds of Qigong, different exercises. You cross-train the body in a whole bunch of ways. And then we can take people through our courses and workshops all the way up to a teacher training. And our teacher training has just been a great, it feels like a great accomplishment to just pull all that content together, organize it, and give people step-by-step instructions along with support groups and special Facebook groups and master classes and Zoom classes like we're doing right here, right now, where we just answer questions for those teachers. So all of that is available. And, I think what you could probably do is just ask support for a little bit of help where you are and kind of when you want to start some of these things. And we'll give you some guidance.
I heard from Brenda in the chat that my mic was down low. So I actually just turned it up. Merle's suggesting a similar problem. Let me know if that helped, everybody. I think it probably will have helped. Did it help, Lee?
Yeah, it sounds a little louder.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's
good.
So thank you for answering, Paul. And another question is just what books would you recommend on the subject of Qigong or related subjects? Now, there's a blog post that just went out about your recommendations for TCM related topics. I think it was like your top 10 books. So maybe my recommendation would be just get to our website and go to resources, articles, and it's like the latest blog post. It's a great place to start with Lee's book recommendations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think if you really wanted a Qigong specific, Ken Cohen wrote just such a great book on Qigong. I think it's called The Way of Qigong by Ken Cohen. And just a masterful scholarly piece of work.
Indeed. Yeah, that one is terrific. Excellent. What recommendations do you have for carpal tunnel syndrome?
Well, a lot of times carpal tunnel is coming from tension, tightness in the neck. People working on the computers, their heads forward. Obviously, there's inflammation in the hands, wrists, and arms. So one thing we want to do is get better ergonomics and limit as much as possible the things that are irritating those carpal nerves. That'll help tremendously. That's often challenging to do because it's like, oh, well, I can't stop working or whatnot, but maybe you can do some things where you're not typing as much or changing the setup of your typewriter, doing some more audio voice recognition typing.
Did you say typewriter?
Did I say typewriting?
Setup.
Doesn't everybody have a typewriter?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, an old ribbon.
Are those now called keyboards or something?
Something like that, yeah.
Oh, right. I'm so old school.
Yeah, it's just such a great image of Lee typing away on a manual typewriter.
Hey, this typewriter that I have right here comes with a computer screen and everything else around it.
I love it.
Sounds like something like my grandma would say.
Right? Yeah. Kay says, how old are you, Lee? Not as old as
Well,
this.
that's the thing, Qigong is for longevity. I'm 107 right now. So that explains it. I just gave it away.
Divided by 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Where was I, Ben?
Yeah, my
Oh,
apologies.
yes, I remember. Okay, so
Suggesting that
limiting your irritations and then stretching and bringing a lot more healing energy and chi into the lower arms. And so I would recommend, we have a great program for carpal tunnel. It's called Qigong for arms, wrists, and hands. We didn't call it Qigong for carpal tunnel because it's also good for arthritis and tendonitis, but it is really geared towards carpal tunnel. Qigong for arms, wrists, and hands. I would get that and maybe mix it in with, the video class subscription and just alternate those routines.
Yep. And we got Amber over here who's rapid fire on the links to make it easy to find stuff. So if Lee mentions something that's relevant to you, jump in the chat and it'll probably be a link in there. Any particular program, while we're on the topic, in the media library would be good for early onset Parkinson's, says Tomoyo.
For Parkinson's, neurological type of Qigong focused attention, the slow flowing movements seem to do really well with Parkinson's. It's nice mindfulness in motion, energy cultivation, slowing down the body, slowing down the breath. That seems to give really good results to neurological issues, especially Parkinson's. Then very topic specific, I would say Qigong for the nervous system, that workshop that we did, that's a great one, as well as wisdom Qigong, because it brings a lot of energy to the brain. So those are 2 workshops. I might suggest trying one and then doing the other, maybe a month or 2 later. And really then on a daily basis, just focusing on flows and slowing down and synchronizing breath with that movement.
Yeah, I think that got it. That wisdom Qigong thing, it's a little bit of a Trojan horse. It's there.
Mm-hmm.
It seems so simple, like the stuff that you actually do, but bringing that kind of energy to the head frequently and continuously is very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So we tend not to make a big deal of it, but if you, I can vouch for how effective it is. Well, you used to say that was how you got through acupuncture school while studying like an eighth as much as anybody else, right?
Yeah, it really was. And, I really noticed it in the state board test, because the state board was really challenging. The California Acupuncture State Board has a passing rate of like 50%, where the national board has a passing rate of like 80%. So they made it really challenging. And, I was busy. I was teaching all over the place. I was studying for my state boards. And I said, I really got to put my Qigong to the test. And I did that wisdom Qigong, and I studied it like maybe an eighth to a quarter amount of the time as a lot of my colleagues and classmates, and, did really well. Got over a 90% on that acupuncture state board, and I attribute it to wisdom Qigong.
Awesome. That's great. Okay. Another question that's coming in that I've seen more than once is neck issues.
Mm-hmm.
Is saying during moves that involve looking up to the sky, I find my neck aches. So spinal cord breathing, etc. Very stiff, very uncomfortable. If she pushes through, then that pain can go to the stomach with a bit of nausea. I'm working.
All right.
on,
So yeah, let's not push through.
Right.
There's probably some, there's some tension, irritation in those joints and muscles. So one really good technique, and this is I teach it as well, and in spinal cord breathing, it's where you tuck your chin back and in, and you lengthen the back of the neck. So instead of going up this way, you tuck back and in, and you just bring the length into the spine this way. And you can also lightly squeeze the teeth together. So any movements where I'm saying look up, you could just tuck the chin back and in and lengthen the spine. That should create a really nice healing effect in your cervical area.
Excellent. Yeah, that's very helpful. It's just such a tricky area, right?
It is. It's so true.
It's aggravated. It's hard for it not to be. Another spinal cord breathing question. When we do spinal cord breathing, is it wrong to squeeze your shoulders? Says Julia.
Not necessarily wrong, but there's a better way. You don't need to squeeze the shoulders because it's a joint mobilizing exercise. So if you come here and you squeeze, you maybe get a little more opening. And so if you wanted to do that, do it once or twice. And then I want you to try to relax into the movement and really just mobilize and get the movement through the spine. And of course, the shoulders and ribs and chest. And so it's designed not as like a squeeze or even a strong stretch, but more of a warm up and a mobilizing exercises that bring circulation and energy to the joints.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
Doesn't need to be efforted.
Right.
Yeah.
Good way to put it. Another spine question. Chris is asking, so Chris is diagnosed with osteoporosis of the spine, advised to avoid bending the spine, so no forward bending, but it's a move we do a lot in class. What do you suggest people do instead if they can't forward bend?
Okay. Then you could do, you just modify it. It's either skip it or do like a knocking on the door of life or just stop and breathe. I would say kidney breathing is really wonderful, kind of really decompresses that lower spine. And so if we're doing, let's say, a full body flow where we're hanging forward and doing a lot of forward bends, just take your hands, put them on the kidneys, breathe into the kidneys. You could do spinal cord breathing or a gentle knocking on the door of life. Those would all be great for your kidneys. And remember, kidneys control the bones. And so when you're tonifying and strengthening your kidneys, you're really bringing some more energy to the bones.
Yep. Yeah, there's definitely, bones are so important and they're so central to everything that we do, and how the Qi moves. There was another question around the bones in terms of the, but now I can't find it. Where'd it go? There it is. Judy's saying her thumbs have receded out of place due to arthritis deterioration of the bones. Any suggestions for a situation like that?
For the thumbs, is that what you said, Ben?
Yep, their thumbs have receded out of place due to arthritis deterioration of the bones.
So arms, wrists, and hands, that's a great program to do. And any flows, because you're relaxing your hands, and by moving the hands like this, you're bathing the energy through the hands and the meridians in the hands. That can be quite painful. So if you're in pain, I would say acupuncture is going to help. Acupuncture could help as well, just target. Probably what the acupuncturist might do is use some moxa. And that's an herb that they hold over points that brings a lot of circulation to areas. You can order moxa yourself. You just light it, take a candle, hold that moxa over it. It's gonna be quite smoky. So probably outside the best, and just 4 or 5 minutes, hold it over the thumb and get some energy and circulation there.
Excellent. A couple other questions around the tendons and joints. So we're talking about bones, but now Suze is asking about degeneration of tendon and joint issues, especially in the shoulders. What can TCM offer there?
Absolutely. So when you were talking about joints, we want to keep them mobile. We want to move them. That at the state gymnastics competition that I was at, not me doing the gymnastics, but I was there as a spectator watching my daughter. You didn't know that about me, right?
Man, I'd love to see you doing some parallel bars, and
you should see me in a leotard. Yeah, just on the balance beam. Man, it's fantastic. That's how I impress my kids.
I love it.
Or embarrass them.
Yeah, exactly.
So I sat next to he was a hand doctor, specializing in hands. And we were just talking about mobility and part of the problem when you injure something and then you immobilize it, you can create more problems than the injury itself. And so how do we move the body without irritating it? And that's kind of the goals. Like, when we have the shoulder, these nice, gentle, simple circulatory movements, spreading the feathers where we're stretching the lines through those areas. You could do other things like acupuncture, herbal rubs, CBD oil, all that can be really helpful. Alternating ice and heat. But we want to keep that joint moving without irritating it. So whatever it takes to move it, whether it's something simple or something a little bit more complex, keep that joint moving. The flows are really helpful to move energy through that area. I think that's the key in a lot of these joint or even tendon issues. Circulation is what's going to heal the tissue. Circulation of energy and blood flow. So how do we improve the circulation? You know, we could do it with techniques and topically, ice and heat, microcurrent, acupuncture, cupping. Those are all great. And then movement exercises, Qigong, physical therapy. How do we continue to strengthen and stretch and mobilize the joint? And that's really what you want to do. Some of our programs, I would say Qigong for healthy joints and Qigong for the upper back would be great targeted areas for you to work with. And then as you work with those programs, when you're doing the exercises, just make sure nothing's irritating it. You know, you modify or skip the ones you need to while you're injured until you feel better, and you can add those to then your repertoire of movements.
Excellent. While we're on the topic of modifying movements, Shari's asking, have you ever just had an aversion to a particular exercise? Is it more likely that your body's telling you to avoid it, or could it be that you dislike the exercise because it might release something you're not ready to face or deal with?
I know that is exactly, because I've had exercises that I've had aversion to, and then a year later I go back to it and I'm like, God, this is great. I just love this exercise.
Me too.
Yeah. So you got to have to do some exploratory work. Why am I having an aversion to it? You know, if you could just relax into it and breathe through it, when you come out of it, notice how you feel afterwards. And the ones that I notice that you feel like the energy is starting to move and changes are starting to take place, they have some real benefit. And to work those into your routine is good. And just, you know, quite frankly, some movements just not really working for me. I don't love it. It's not great for my body at this particular time. And there's other exercises, for example, that when you do them by yourself, it doesn't work so well. Then you do it in a group or on a Zoom class where everybody's doing it together and it works really well. And so context might matter. And that context could be being alone, being with the group. It could be morning or evening, you know, midday, middle of the night, those kinds of things. The exercises sometimes will show up beneficially at different times for you. So kind of explore it and, you know, feel free to skip it and come back to it at a later date. There are a lot of Qigong exercises and practices. And so, you know, really, we want them to really feel good. And if they're not feeling good at the time, we want them to feel good pretty soon after and give us some benefit. Sometimes these exercises are really pushing in on some of our emotional energy or traumas that were held. And part of us really resists going into that and feeling it and moving through it. So you might notice if there's some resistance in that particular way as well.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. There isn't just one answer with things like that ever. It's so personal.
Yeah,
but
not with me, huh?
Well, just in general. I mean,
yeah.
But I appreciate the way that you kind of gave the tools for, you know, just kind of measuring, like, okay, and getting the clues, because that's so much what all this stuff is, right? Getting into optimal health is a matter of clues and experiments and piecing together your path to optimal health and wellness.
Yeah. Isn't that true?
Yeah. Such a great opportunity to get in there and do stuff. Got a couple of questions about white crane. Have you heard of white crane Qigong?
Hey, we're going to be doing some white crane in December. I don't know if people are asking because of that.
That is why people are asking, I believe.
Yeah. Fantastic.
So question really is white crane Qigong that you're going to be doing similar to Dr. Yang's?
Yes, it is going to be similar to Dr. Yang's. That's exactly right.
Yeah, it's sort of.
He's a fantastic teacher. You know, I've had the pleasure of studying with him, and just kind of hanging out with him because I had him at the Qi Center a few times teaching.
Mhm.
And what I like about his style is it's really traditional. He takes ancient texts and he just translates them as directly as possible and practices them as directly as possible. Where a lot of teachers, really take their interpretation of it. So, some of my traditional teachers, one being Montauk Chia, who did a lot of personal interpretation and changing it around and making it his own. And then Dr. Yang, on the other hand, really staying as true to these classic texts as possible. And so, we'll work with White Crane. Of course, I'm going to bring in my interpretations. I'll show you some other variations that I've learned, but we'll go through his style of the White Crane as much as possible.
Excellent. Yeah. Yeah, it's just a well-known style, and it's just such a beautiful style. I think it'll be fascinating.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Another question is about our teacups. Why are they so different? Why don't they have a handle? Why don't they look like a coffee mug? What's going on here?
I know. You just hold them like this.
That's
I have
right.
a couple answers from a Qi perspective, and then I'm sure, Ben, you have some historical answers because you're like an encyclopedia of tea history. But one interpretation I heard is when you hold like this, the cup often is very hot because the tea is hot, and your fingers are touching the cup on various acupressure points and acupuncture points. So the heat of the cup gets transferred over time, and through a whole session, you actually energetically get some stimulations to your meridian lines as you're drinking your tea. I thought that was a cool answer.
Yeah, that is a cool answer. Very interesting. Yeah, I think it's just a matter of what has been evolved in Chinese tea culture versus what sort of evolved in Western culture for tea and or other hot beverages. So the key thing about a teacup, often you'll find that they have a very thin and tapered lip, whereas a coffee mug tends to have a much thicker lip that's not really tapered at all. And so I'll drink tea out of other cups that are more like that just have kind of a standard kind of rounded lip, similar to a coffee cup. But when you do get these tapered ones, it actually puts the liquid at a different part of your tongue. And so you actually taste the tea differently. Instead of kind of bypassing the part of the tongue that tastes bitter, the way that a coffee mug typically will, you'll actually get the full experience because it drops right onto the front of your tongue as well. So there's sort of an evolution of teacups typically having this tapered lip in order to make it so that you can taste the tea a certain way. And then over in Great Britain, they added the handles, and I don't remember exactly when or why, but they added the handles to the Chinese ceramics, to the bone china that they were getting, probably because they were actually drinking very, very hot tea. This is my guess, is that the Indian style teas and Assams and things like that are drunk in British tea culture with milk and sugar really require like a full rolling boil. And so they were getting really thin ceramic that's used for green tea, for example, which is a much lighter and not as hot water. You use cooler water to brew a green tea properly. But then the black tea became kind of the flavor of choice in British tea culture, and it likes a full boil. So that may have something to do with it. There you go. That's best
I like it.
I see you've snagged one from Judy.
Oh yeah, the James Nestor.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, so this is a book on breath, and we've been, in our breathwork course right now doing a deep dive into this, and this is something I just explained in the course. She's talking about he recommends not breathing through your mouth while you sleep at night, and she was asking, how do we do that? And it's a matter of training, hopefully we just know we just do that, but most of us don't. Most of us fall asleep and you start breathing through your mouth. And really what the research is showing is that it's really beneficial to just breathe through your nose. Breathe through your nose while you sleep. And so the recommendation from a few breathwork teachers is to mouth tape. You just tape your mouth, and it doesn't have to be a big thing of duct tape. One of the recommendations is just a little thin, like kind of Charlie Chaplin mustache. Here, it feels a little more comfortable because you could, if needed to, you could breathe through the sides of your mouth and do so. Just do some mouth taping, sometime in the evening. Just get used to it. Walk around with it. Watch TV. Read a book. Just so you get used to it and start breathing through your nose. And what happens when you start breathing through your nose is that you can breathe through your nose better, and that your nose works better, and it filters air and pollutants and allergies, and you just start to. It just has so many benefits, and it's a simple process. And after mouth taping, 2 or 3 months, hopefully shorter, you won't have to do it anymore because your brain and your body will be connected, and you'll just naturally breathe through the mouth. Through the nose. So that's the recommendation. A little bit of mouth tape. You could get some surgical tape. If you click mouth taping on Amazon, you get a bunch of recommendations. They're all pretty good. And you could just try a few different kinds of tape. And that's the main recommendation.
Did that work? Oh, it did. My computer is acting up in a second. That makes a lot of sense. And I know in our breathwork program, people have been, when you talk about mouth taping, there's just a ton of stuff that hits the chat about how people have been getting great results and what kind of tape they use and all that. And I see that starting to happen now, chat as well. So if you're looking for further insight into the mouth taping thing, jump in.
Harper has an answer too, you guys. You could get one of these. Can you show them that? These work really well. Can I have it? Can I have it?
Get a pacifier, everybody. That's the answer. Little did you know that Lee is actually proposing that you all become ravers.
Oh, is that it? Is that what they do in raves?
That's right.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
This morning, she woke up lying in bed, and she took this thing out of her mouth, just a slimy pacifier, and just stuck it right in my face. Thank you. Just a greasy pacifier right in my face. Thank you for that. I woke right up.
I'll bet you did.
Yeah, it's a nice pressure point right here on the forehead at 6:30 a.m. Does the trick.
As long as it's been slimy when you steam it, let it go.
Yeah, it needs to be a little bit slimy. It just doesn't work.
One from Diane. What is happening with the energy when the backs of the hands face each other in a movement?
Back of the hands. Okay. Back of the hands. When the back of the hands face each other, it's actually not that it's the back of the hands. It's that, for example, like this, we're pulling energy on this channel in the body. So you'll see, like in the fountain, the back of the hands towards each other, or like embrace tiger, return to the mountain, the hands come up and then they turn and push. This is often ways to make the hands and the body flowy. And often it's not that you're sending energy here more than it is directing it through the system. That's really what it is.
Yeah, that's been my experience. And then after doing, like the Buddha palm work and stuff, and getting the hands lit up and understanding where all those points are that emit energy from the hands, it's very clear, like you're saying, I can feel that connection between, this point and guiding the energy up through those channels, for example, or on the inside of the legs when you're coming up from bend over position with the fountain. The things really become more clear as you start to really feel the energy of the hands. So it's been my experience.
Yeah, very true.
Very good. Here's another Question is it okay to close my eyes during a flow? Asks Stuart.
Yeah, absolutely, Stuart. You know, when you close the eyes, it's a more internal meditative process. When you open the eyes, you're more present and connecting to the energy of your environment. And whether your eyes open, eyes closed, the idea is to not have the mind wandering. You know, on the grocery list, what am I going to make for dinner tonight? This, that, and the other thing. Eyes open, where am I? I'm looking at my environment. I'm connected to the energy here. Eyes closed, I'm feeling my internal environment. I'm noticing the energy as it circulates through me.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, it's a very different experience, but I like to kind of go back and forth personally, a little of each.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. How much is too much Qi Gong? Asks Allison. As a full-time teacher, I have taught as many as 5 classes in a day. Found I needed to trim the schedule down for a little better balance.
Hey, we all find our own limitations, you know?
Yeah.
When you fall asleep in embracing the tree, that's too many classes.
Spot on.
Oh man, I remember I did a all-night red-eye flight, and then I taught, I landed on the Saturday morning, like at 6 a.m., and then I taught all that Saturday day and the full Sunday. And by the Sunday, I was teaching Embracing the Tree, and I did remember like dozing off while I was holding that standing posture. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I don't think I need to push it so hard. I don't have to do the red-eye, fly to the East Coast, get up in the morning, go, teach, you know. So we all find our own limitations, but 5 hours of teaching a day, especially different classes, like you're going here, there, all over the place, and engaging with new people's energy for 5 hours can be a lot, especially if you do that again the next day and again the next day. Teaching for 5 hours when it's a workshop and it's the same group and you're pacing each other, it's a little different. So we're all going to feel that a little differently. And teaching is its own exercise. And so like when I first started teaching, I was in excellent shape. I was in good shape. I'd been doing my own practice a lot. And then I taught a full day workshop, and I was really tired afterward. I was like, what is going on? And I asked one of my teachers, and they said, oh yeah, it's very common. You start teaching and you feel fatigued because you're holding so much energetic space for the group. And then it gets easier and easier and easier as you do it. So one day to a weekend to a week-long retreat, you get in shape, in teaching shape for that. And that goes with your Qigong practice as well. So for some people, they have a lot of time and energy and they're in really good Qi shape. You could do 2 or 3 hours a day, 4 or 5 hours a day, no problem. In the beginning, if you did that, you're going to feel fatigued because you're not yet in shape. In the same way, if you don't exercise and then somebody says, hey, let's go on a run, and you run 10 miles, it's probably going to be tiring and hard. So start off easy, work your way up, and know that you will get in better shape, whether it's teaching, your own practice, your fitness level, your strength in and through your body.
Excellent answer. Yeah, it's 5 classes in a day does feel like a lot, especially with different groups.
It is. That would be a lot. Even, I was teaching in my early 20s, like about, between 15 and 20 classes a week.
Mm-hmm.
And that felt like a lot because I was driving all over the place and, fitness clubs, corporations, here, there, everywhere. And that was, to do week in and week out, that was a lot, on top of I was doing body work as well. But it did get me in really good shape. And it was a different kind of shape than teaching a week-long workshop for the same group. Both take some conditioning and different kinds of preparations.
Excellent. Yep. Yes, indeed. Philip is asking, speaking of teachers, I'm signing up for the level 1 instructor to deepen my practice. Excellent. That's a great way to deepen your practice, is dive deep into all the stuff that you learn when you learn to become a teacher. Is the monthly group subscription part of that program? I can field this one. It's
okay.
The 5 elements and the 3 treasures curriculum are very core curriculum. So obviously those are things that the movements and things that are in those programs are things that Lee will often do in subscription classes. But the subscription itself is not part of the teacher training package. Some people, really the teacher training package is self-paced, and some people have a lot of time to put into their practice and their training. Other people don't. And so the subscription classes are kind of a recommended but optional add-on alongside your training for the 5 elements and 3 treasures, because we really want you to get your practice hours with the 5 elements and 3 treasures programs. And so depending on how long you're planning to take to do it, if you want to get through it in 6 months and you only have 3 hours a week to practice, you don't have time to do both. If you're planning to just take your time and let it be a thing you do over a couple of years because you're just doing it for your own personal edification, then you do have time to do both. And certainly you'd be mixing in the trainings in the bigger programs alongside the subscription, and that would be just fine. So we don't want to overload the people who don't have the bandwidth to do it all every week, week in and week out, but are trying to get to their certification. So we don't include it, but it is a nice add-on because you get to see Lee teaching and showing sort of his teaching method in real time while you're learning how to teach. So that's kind of my best answer. What do you think, Lee?
Yeah, exactly. I think that is exactly right. I know a lot of people do have both because, you're just getting a little bit, you get to see me teaching a weekly class ongoing. So it's really good to understand and see some examples of how to teach different kinds of material. And the teacher training is a very focused practice, where the subscription is a very broad practice. We do a lot of different things in the subscription, and they go really well together. So I recommend doing both. But like Ben was saying, depending on how fast you want to get through that content, we really want you to have some mastery of the content in the teacher training. So if it feels like the subscription takes away from mastering that, then postpone it. And if it feels like it gives you some freshness to the content and like, okay, I'm not seeing the same movements over and over and a real focus practice, I guess get to come, tune out, listen, experience some different exercises, then do it and add to it.
Excellent. Lisbeth is asking, are the subscription classes at times that are suitable in Central European time? Lisbeth, we have some default times that are basically every week. If possible, we hit those times, which include Monday at 4:30 Pacific, which is much too late for Central European usually. Then we have Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Pacific. There's some folks who show up to that who live in Europe because it's late-ish their night, but they do it anyway. Maybe they're night owls. And then the 10 a.m. classes on Friday, we do kind of on purpose to be compatible with Europe. And that's where a lot of Europeans will show up to those 10 a.m. Friday classes. So we kind of work our way around the time zone. The 4:30 p.m. is really good for New Zealand and Australia. And the 10 a.m. Pacific time is really good for the Europeans. So we're trying to accommodate everybody when possible. I think we're getting pretty close to Facebook time. So if you are on Facebook and you do have any questions, now's a good time to get them into the chat. And soon we will have Amber come and bring them over here. So I just wanted to let people know. A little bit of interest in COVID related topics. So I am going to touch on those briefly. One is, are there any, and this is Suzanne asking, are there any Qigong or TCM practice that could help me regain my sense of smell? She's had COVID and has still not regained her sense of smell.
Gosh, sorry to hear about that. That's rough. I would say the breathing practices and specifically, I would say the sound healing. I would start with that, the sound healing workshop, because the vibration of those particular sounds that we focused on in that workshop really open up the sinuses and open up the connection between the sinuses and the brain. we have to open that whole pathway back up and some stuff with the nervous system. So I'd say the sound healing workshop and this better breathing course that we're doing right now, which I think is closed, if I'm not mistaken, Ben, but when it opens back up, if you get, you could start with the sound healing and then do the breath work course that we're diving into right now. Those would be really good things to do.
Yep. I think that's right. It's such a fascinating thing. My sister actually lost her sense of smell as a result of allergies long ago. So I think it's one of these overactive immune system responses that can sometimes come back. So best of luck to you. That is frustrating, and not being able to smell anything, because you also can't taste anything really.
Yeah. That usually goes hand in hand.
Yeah. The other question is, somebody is actually dealing with COVID right now and has been looking at your YouTube video about how you dealt with COVID, but wondering if there's any additional herbal suggestions.
I think I did give some herbal suggestions in there. I'm not sure, but yeah, herbal suggestions, great. Depending on where you are and how your symptoms are manifesting. But, just the supplements good, like vitamin C, vitamin D, and zinc. Those are great things to add just to continue to strengthen your immune system. I like cordyceps as a lung tonic to strengthen the respiratory system. As far as Chinese herbs, if symptoms are mild, something called yin chow, YINQIAO. If symptoms are stronger and it feels like more of an infection, Chuan Xinlian is good. There's some more targeted Chinese herbs for COVID that I know in Chinese medicine, they're really promoting those as great herbal remedies in COVID. So you might want to see an acupuncturist and do it so it's a little bit more specific. But those that I just mentioned can always work well for early onset, beginning symptoms, feel like light sense of fever or sore throat, or, in those cases, just to boost the immune system and clear some energy.
Excellent. Very good. Well, I think it's Facebook time.
It's Facebook time.
You ready to rock and roll? Got to find that mute button though.
Sorry, I didn't hear you say my name there. I just heard rock and roll and I'm like,
rock and roll. She's like, I like rock and roll.
I love it. What are you listening to?
That's your cue.
All right. So I'm going to apologize in advance if I butcher anybody's names. It is not my intent, but some of you have some very magical names that I've never heard or seen, and I think they're amazing. So first is from Mojka Kobal. I am experimenting with Qi Gong with my son, who is diagnosed with ADHD and autism. To my surprise, I have noticed that the exercises that activate the energy calm him, and the flow just makes him more restless. He loves knocking on the door of life, Qi massage, and the tiger. Are there some exercises that activate the energy, especially of the head and the brain?
Great. Well, I love the way you read that question, Amber. You have a great reading voice. That being said, this is interesting, right? With some special needs kind of cases, sometimes the energy, what they need will be reverse, or really what their energy is kind of strong and more yang. So when you meet them where they are, it has a calming effect because it can help to process and move that energy that can sometimes be agitated. So I like just introducing it to kids and people in this demographic and seeing what they like, what they take to, because they're so clear. They're so honest with the material, with the content. They're always very honest with where they're at. And they become, a really good teacher for us to really learn how it's working for them and what to bring them more of. So I like that. I think at some point what will happen is that he would probably resonate with the flows as well, but really give him a nice dose of those knocking on the door of life, tiger, maybe 5 animal frolics. I think, that kind of material might be really good because it's fun. It's a little bit goofy. It has a lot of energy to it, but great for you. And I'm so glad that it's working for your son. I think this demographic would really do well with some well thought through types of courses, and maybe, some collaboration with some experts in that field with the Qigong practice. So those are my 2 cents on it.
Right. And our next question is from either Trace or Tress, JH. How old should children be before starting to drink herbal teas? And any recommendations, please?
I mean, herbal teas, you could do it very early. I mean, my kids were drinking herbal teas like right away. And the funny thing is they like herbs. I can give them a tincture full of really strong herbs and it doesn't bother them. And sometimes their friends are over and I give my kids some herbs, and then the friend, I give them a squirt and they're just like, what is that? That is disgusting, right? So my kids are used to it. So I think it's good to get them used to herbs and flavors of herbs early. That said, really easy to digest and palatable: peppermint, chamomile, the red rooibos, like chai, is really good because it's a little bit more flavorful, but it's not caffeinated. I think we just got to be careful of the caffeine content in teas. So the herbal teas have no caffeine. Those are the ones I would lean into with kids. If you wanted to put a little honey in there, and that is a great way to introduce them into these, healing type of beverages.
Good answer. Another one from Mocha.
It's funny, Leah, that made me think of like when you get a puppy, how you're supposed to frequently stick your fingers in its ears and in mouth. So that then when you need to give it medications later, it's used to it.
Yeah,
I start giving
it's
kids
like that
stuff right away.
Like that.
My dogs still aren't used to it, and they're almost 12 years old, but that just makes me all right, another one from Mochka, or Mochka, however you say it. I cannot quite understand how Jing Qi and Yuan Qi collate to each other. What is the difference?
Okay, now we're getting technical. So Jing Qi is in Chinese medicine, translate more to essence. It's the essence of the body. It's often said to just be stored in the kidneys, and Jing Qi is passed on. We inherit the Jing Qi from our parents. So it often is reproductive energy as well. So Jing Qi will manifest in the fluids of the body, often thought of as the sexual fluids, but it's also saliva and the synovial fluids and things like that. So it has a little bit more viscosity to it, and it's more tangible. Now, Yuan Qi, source energy, is more, let's say, on the other end of the spectrum. It's the energy that's most closely resonating with source, that is not personalized to you, but it's still in your body and kind of downloading and taking shape and form into your unique structure of energy. So Jing Qi is the essence. And yes, Yuan Qi is also part of that, because we're not necessarily separating things in a Western mind way that it's delineated like this is over there. There's some connections and some overlaps between those two terms, because the Qi, that source Qi, is also passed through in the reproductive and birthing process. But then let's say when we're moving Qi in that like microcosmic orbit, or we're storing it in our lower dantian, sometimes referred to as Yuan Qi, which is source energy. Jing is essence. And I know it's complicated, but that's the translation.
I've heard it referred to as and I don't know if this is accurate, but I've heard it referred to as Jing in motion.
I like that. Yeah, because what happens is, like, Jing would be the fluid, but then there's the mist off of the fluid. Let's say the mist off the water. So it's this movement of energy. Or, you could see it in a lot of things. Like, for example, Jing is reproduction energy, the fluids, but what is the libido and the drive behind it? That's the movement of the energy of the Jing creating the drive, which is two different things.
Cool.
All right. Next is Carol Perry. I have an itchy scalp. It feels as if there's too much Qi in the cells of my scalp, just like the hands when Qi is moving there. I've been told it's neurodermatitis. Can you suggest any solutions? Oh, Lee's on mute.
Lee,
You're muted, Lee.
nobody can hear you.
You guys get that?
No, not that first
I
part.
didn't answer the question, but I did give the secrets of the universe away right there. I hope you guys caught that.
I hate it when we miss that. All the time.
And part of it was to wear blue nail polish. Did you get that, Amber? Okay, nice. On the same page there. All right, for the tingly, itchy scalp, healing sounds. All the healing sounds are going to be good, but pulling down the heavens with the triple warmer is going to be the best. And I would do that frequently, inhale and then H-E-E-E. 5 minutes a day, 2 times. So twice a day, 5 minutes, maybe longer, but we really want to pull the energy down. Then also get your bare feet on the earth. Go outside, stand barefoot on the ground and just get some grounding. And that can help with bringing some cool energy and the heat that's in the head back down. Those are good places to start. And just a regular Qigong practice, like in the subscription, or ongoing regular Qigong practice would be really, really important.
All right, good answer. From Kamal Montano, can a be grateful attitude energy increase flow?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, stress is a constriction, gratitude is an expansion, And so when we're in a grateful space, just notice how it feels in your energy. When you're really grateful for something, it's light, it feels good. We're expanded. We're reaching out and making connections rather than being stressed, isolated, and pulling energy in. So absolutely, yes.
Positive attitude is usually always a good thing as well.
Yeah.
Right. Either from Elk or Elkie, sorry if I mispronounced your name. Is there anything I can do with reoccurring muscle injuries from running? And I do the daily 7-minute Qigong or 30 days?
Oh, the 30-day challenge. So increase energy for running. Was that one of the questions?
Yes, reoccurring muscle injuries from running.
Reoccurring. Okay. So, that's the thing with repetitive motion. We can create some injuries, and even in the sports we love, it's like, I don't want to give up my running, but what can I do? And so, here's the thing. Before you run, you want to warm up. Get your muscles warm. So I would say Qigong warm up, like the pump, like igniting inner fire, knocking on the door of life, spinal cord breathing. Do a nice 10 minutes of warming up. Go for your run. Then when you come back, do a nice set of stretching exercises. Get on the floor, stretch all the lines of tension in your legs, and end with a nice flow. So that would be a really cohesive, well put together program, depending on how much time you have. We might have just added more time. So I would say run a little less, but add these other Qigong components to it, and you'll be preventing injuries and still being able to do your sport.
Good answer. All right, Victoria Sage, I love your last name. About a year ago, I had surgery to remove a hernia and bone spurs in the lowest vertebra. I still have a lot of pain and numbness in my hips, back, extremities, neck, shoulders, etc. Are there any routines in your classes that you would recommend?
Absolutely. So we're going to want to tonify the kidneys. Kidneys control the lower back. So like a 5-element flow is going to be a really nice full body way to integrate healing energy. And then specifically, let's do the workshop Qigong for low back. Just start to work on core strength, low back exercises, kidney tonifications. They'll all be in that lower back workshop.
Gotcha. And I will post that low back workshop here in 1 second after I read Marla's question. Marla said, I bought the Healing Sound program. What else can I do for the right inner ear / dizziness? Any herbs better than an antibiotic?
Inner ear, right? We can do some pressure points, like the points right here, massaging right behind the earlobe. That's triple burner 17. That's a good one. Gallbladder 2, right in front of the ear, these 2 points. So you can do them at different times. 30 seconds here, 30 seconds here. And then triple burner 3 right there is a great point for the inner ear. And then Qigong wise, moving energy downward. Really wonderful. Pull down the heavens, exercises like that. But, really want to do like systemic Qigong exercise, 5-element flow, video class subscription.
Good answer. All right. John Lane. In advance, thank you so much for your help. What is the best healing sound to do to help with lack of appetite due to anxiety and stress?
Well, I would say combination, because he said it. When you get stress, your appetite goes down. And it is a term in Chinese medicine. It's called wood overacting on earth, or liver attacks the spleen. It's the same thing. Stress is the wood element. The wood element gets too agitated, and then our digestion gets compromised. So you're going to want to do liver healing sounds, right? And then spleen. The spleen, what I would do is liver healing sounds and spleen, like pebble in the pond, to tonify. So one, you're clearing the liver energy, the excess, and then you're strengthening the spleen. And so that would be the best. If you wanted to do liver and spleen healing sounds, that's fine too. That works really well. But I would also do some spleen, earth element tonifications, like pebble in the pond.
I always like that name, Pebble in the Pond. That always
I
makes
know,
sense.
isn't that great? Yeah.
All right, Lynn, my out breath is longer than my in breath. Is that okay?
It's showing you something in your system. And so when our out breath is longer than one, and when you're trying to make it kind of balanced and you're not specifically doing a technique, it's often saying that your body intuitively is trying to clear something, because that out breath, you're trying to let go, trying to release. So we might look at it maybe in terms of emotions. Are we trying to get rid of some held energy from the past? I've had a stressful day, so I notice my out breath is longer. The other way to see it is that my inhale is deficient. I just don't have quite the energy. So it may say your exhale is normal, but my in-breath feels tight or constricted. Then there might be some deficiency there. So work on it. Try to continue with those longer exhales, but try to really also work on a deeper inhale. So the recommendation, follow that exhale. Exhale, and then exhale more, and then exhale more. Now, when you inhale, you're going to have more space, and really try to fill up. So I'm going to recommend Qigong for better breathing. I'm going to recommend Qigong breath work course or the workshop.
That sounds great. And I will get those links in as soon as I ask our last question from Anita Lewis from Facebook. She asks, any suggestions for a person recently told by a neurologist that she, a 67-year-old female, needed a sleep study done as he believes she has narcolepsy, as he has never seen anyone enter REM sleep so fast?
Oh, that's interesting, right? Well, a lot of things point to energy imbalances. Like, if your body needs energy, often we'll just fall asleep. We'll fall asleep fast. We'll drop into dream state fast. And a lot happens when you balance your body's energy. So I would say, let's get some Qigong practice, like a consistent Qigong practice. I would say some nice, strong tonifications in the morning, 5-element flow, microcosmic orbit. And in the evening, I would say some healing sounds, or try that better sleep workshop. So day, 5-element flow practice, microcosmic orbit, and evening healing sounds, or the better sleep kind of techniques that we did in that workshop.
All right, that was wonderful. And I think that is all the time that we have for the Facebook questions.
Hey, thanks, Amber.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Amber. Excellent. Well, folks, we got a little bit of time left. And as we always do with these Tea with Lees, we're going to finish things off by inviting a few folks to pop up and come and join us on camera and ask Lee their question directly. If you decide to take us up on that, you are going to be on the YouTube video when we post the replay for posterity to see forever and ever. So by raising your hand in a moment here, you're giving us permission to use your likeness and so on and so forth. Publish it on our YouTube channel. So feel free to take advantage of that. If you'd like to do that, there's a raise hand button here in Zoom. And I've just lowered all the hands. If you had your hand raised, you will need to do it again since I can't see if you are actually there to call on. So if you'd like to, please use the raise hand button in the Zoom here. It's in the bottom toolbar if you're on a computer, and not overly difficult to find elsewhere if you're on a mobile device. So anybody who would like to come up and ask your question of Lee directly, now is the time. Feel free to take advantage of that. In the meantime, Mr. Holden, I think your Qi Master Harper is getting a little bit fussy.
Oh, actually, she's laughing hysterically.
Oh,
Grandma just showed up and making her crack up.
oh, good. That's
And
great.
she's if you can hear, she's making dog noise. She's going roof, 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 and then laughing.
I don't hear the dog part. I just hear the laughter.
Yeah.
Excellent. That's great. Well, folks, nobody is raising their hand. There we go. I knew there was going to be at least one as soon as I said that. Hi, Gail. Gail's going to be rejoining in just a moment as a panelist. And I think Zoom is a little slow today. That's something I've noticed is the interface is a little slow. So it's possible people are trying to raise their hand. It's just not getting to us very quickly. But now we're starting to get a little bit of flow there. So here comes Gail.
All right.
Gail, we can hear you, but I don't see your video.
You're asking me a lot of questions.
There you are.
Oh, okay. Hi.
Hi, Gail.
All that about seeing, and my question is about eyes. Is there anything in Qi Gong that helps with eyesight?
Absolutely, there is. Okay, so eyes are related to the wood element and the liver meridian. So you're going to do liver exercises. Like, for example, liver 3 is a great point for the eyes, and that's on the top of your foot. It's on the liver meridian. But sometimes, you know, with the face, either the hands or the feet are where the pressure points are, because it's on the opposite end. So it tends to balance energy, especially if there's excess going on here, then you can help to balance it. So, and then what you want to do is work on your liver meridian. Exercises like tree sways in the wind. Or when you're finished with your Qigong practice, this is the one I really like. Usually we have a lot of energy in the hands, and you just hold the hands cup over the eyes, send the energy there. Specific exercises, there can be some eye Qigong exercise where you look left, right, up, down, make circles with your eyes. And those kinds of things strengthen the eye muscles themselves.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Yeah.
So we're not
Do you
going to
see what I chi, Ben?
I do chi what you chi. Well, it sounds like we're not going to get a demo of Lee doing the goofy eyes, so we'll just move on.
It could be a good blog post, though. I'm thinking for Ian and I to work on together.
I think that's a great idea. Next up is MK, who will be joining us in just a moment here. Very good. MK, you're going to be getting some prompts to get your audio and your video going. And there you are. Hi.
Hi, my name's Maniba. It's just MK on my Zoom thing. I spoke to you the other day about tinnitus. I wanted to ask you about something else, please. I've noticed that when I'm doing the different Qi exercises, my right sort of lower back hip area seems to be tense. And while I focus my attention on it, I still find it hard for it to release. And I just wondered if there's something I can do to assist it to not hold on to whatever it's holding on to.
Right. And you know what's interesting, because you asked about the ears and the low back, they're both ruled by kidneys. And so, you know, sometimes these patterns show up where it's like, got this thing going on, I got this thing, and it's like, oh, it's all stemming from, in Chinese medicine, what they would say, maybe balancing your kidney energy. So that's going to be like the systemic thing where I would start working on the fountain and some kidney type of flows. You know, the low back workshop is really a strong kidney workout, basically. That might be a good place to start, you know, especially for your low back discomfort would be great to do, because you want to do a combination of stretching, strengthening, and flows. You know, that being said, that's what to do, but there's also what not to do. Like, don't sit too long. If you're sitting too long, it puts just undue pressure on the low back and it just gets uncomfortable. So every 45 minutes to an hour, if you've been sitting, stand up, knock on the door of life, do some pressure points around the kidneys, do, you know, 2-3 minutes of Qigong, and then come back to sitting. So that's kind of preventative measures can be really helpful as well. And then I would say, get into some of those kidney exercises and that low back workshop.
And what are the acupressure points for the kidneys that you were saying?
I would say the acupressure points for the kidneys, kidney 3 is great. It's right on the inside of your Achilles tendon. So between your ankle bone and your Achilles tendon, right in between in the hollow there, that's a great point for it's sore. Okay. That's a good one. That's great. Large intestine 4 is good because it's just good for pain in general.
Right. Okay.
So in the webbing of your hand, this one here, it's good for pain and just discomfort.
Okay, lovely. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Thank you, Minerva. Very good. Next up, we have Elizabeth, who can teach us all about Scandinavian fruit drinks. The one drinking the holiday glog, something like that, glug. I don't know how to pronounce it, but we'll find out in a moment, hopefully. Howdy, Elizabeth. Also got to unmute though.
There we go. Now I'm not muted.
There we go.
Nice. Listen, I had a C-section, and after the C-section, I had a complication, which is the DVT in my left leg. And that was about 8 years ago, and the leg is still really swollen, and sometimes I have edemas in the leg too. Is there any Qigong that can help the system to heal that?
Circulation there, right?
System, yeah, to get better?
Yeah. You know, you're doing it by doing Qigong. It's going to be really helpful to your leg and your overall circulation. You know, that's the thing. You want to keep your body moving, and you want to do some exercise to do that. Now, specifically, you know, belly breathing, because the pulses that go to the legs, the femoral arteries, come right through the middle of the belly. So deep abdominal breathing, fanning the fire, very good. You know, the kidney exercises are great too. You know, that low back workshop, getting on the floor, there's a lot of stretches that we do for the legs specifically. I think that would be good for you as well. Some core strength, some leg stretches, that would help the legs and improve the circulation to the legs. But you're doing it. You're doing Qigong, and you're doing it fairly regularly with your subscription. And so that is great. And you could just then do more targeted things like that lower back workshop. And then you could also get some acupuncture, so that by putting some needles in that leg strategically, we could just drive more energy through it.
And this one, I have one that's called Qigong for balance, I think. That's very
that's great too.
Leg work.
That is great leg work. And that's going to be a little bit different. That's going to be like standing on one leg, strengthening the feet and the lower leg. So yes, that would be good. And then the other thing to do would be to stretch it out, just to get some good stretches, get on the floor and do some flowing stretches, and just bathe that leg in more energy.
Okay. Thanks.
Yes, you're welcome.
I'll do.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Very good. Last one we'll have time for is Jan. Jan will be rejoining us in just a moment. Very slow Zoom today. It's unusually slow, but it is working, so that's good. It's kind of amazing that we can do this at all.
It really is. I'm always amazed.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Janet should be prompting you to unmute and get your video going. There's the video. And you just need to unmute, and it should be right. I wish I could unmute you, but I can't. So we're gonna give you a little, there it is. You found it.
Oh my gosh.
Hi, Jan.
Hi. I have a question about alopecia areata.
Okay.
I've been dealing with this since 2007. I'm 64 now. I've always had thick, curly hair. I've tended to be stressed in the past. I'm doing much better now, but it's just getting it'll grow and then it leaves. And then I normally have dark brown hair and then it grows like baby fine hair. Infant. And then it goes away and it comes back. But the last few years is just balding and is getting really bad. And I'm not sure what to do about it. I eat very well. I'm into herbs and teas, and I eat really well, but I have a nervous system. I think it's a paranervous system problem.
Okay.
I can't relax. I'm like a brain.
You know, I think that's what you kind of said it. You kind of did some really good self-diagnosing. You know, when we get stress and the system has a hard time relaxing, different things start to happen in our physiology, and one can be hair loss. So, you know, that's going to be the main thing to do. Here's what I'd recommend. I'd recommend you just really get into some of the emotional energy work of relaxing. Sometimes there's some simple strategies to do that. I'm going to say simple, but they're not easy. Like catching yourself when you're breathing fast. And I want you to breathe in and out through your nose slowly as much as possible. And as you breathe slowly in and out through your nose, you can ask yourself this question: where am I? And I just want you to just be like, okay, I'm right here. And I'm going to take a few deep breaths. And then now I'm going to go back through my day. And when you notice the mind start blah, 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 amping up, I want you to repeat it. And you're just going to have to catch yourself through the day and repattern that, so that tomorrow it's a little better and the next day it's a little better. And a year from now, you're like, hey, I am way more relaxed after doing this kind of practice ongoing. And that is going to be so good for your whole system, not just for the hair, but for your whole system in general. And so I would recommend that you get into, let's see, the Qigong for emotional balance, that workshop, and the Qigong, this breath work course would be extremely good for you when the timing is right. So those two things, I would start with the emotional balance workshop. And when we release the breath work course again, I would recommend that as well. And then just day to day, do your Qigong practice. If you can, just every day do a Qigong practice, and then do your informal Qigong practice that as you go through the day, going to stop. You're going to take some slow, deep breaths through the nose. You're going to ask yourself, where am I? You're going to just get your mind present, because the mind tends to get our system so agitated with its thinking and thoughts. And I want you to just work on reframing that and coming back to the moment with some slow, deep breathing.
I try that so hard. I've come a long way, believe me.
It is, you said it though, it's hard work.
I hang upside down a lot, like off my bed. And that is just, I do breath holding, I take deep breaths. I do breathe a lot. I don't know how long this is going to take, but I want my hair back.
Okay, so now in Chinese medicine, let me say the hair is related to kidneys. And so you want to do some kidney herbs, some kidney flows, and then one of the best things for the hair would be microcosmic orbit. You pull the energy up the spine to the head, down the front, and just circulate, like turn that wheel. And again, I did a workshop on microcosmic orbit, but simply turning the wheel in the Qigong practice, it helps with hair.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Just
gonna do
keep up
this.
with it and keep your chi flowing. That's the most important thing.
I am. I'm positive. I keep going.
Good.
Thank
Very
you.
good.
Thanks, Jan. Very good. Well, folks, that's about all the time we have for Tea with Lee today. Lee, did you finish your tea?
I got one sip.
Perfect.
And I can see it at the bottom of the cup. It is chi and tea. So that mystery solved for me.
Mine looks like a tree.
Okay, that's good.
Reading my tea leaf.
Beautiful.
You ever
Yeah,
read?
I'm reading my tea leaves too. Hey, it's going to be a really great, a great rest of the day, apparently.
Perfect. Good for you.
Yeah. Well, let's just wish everybody a great rest of the day. Fortuitous. It's so wonderful to have you all here with us and, dive deep and answer questions and talk about chi and tea and all this fun stuff. I just want to thank everybody for your energy and for being here. Thank you, Ben. And thanks, Amber. Great to have you reading questions from Facebook. And so let's just give each other a heartfelt cheers or a chi ears and blessing to you all.
Chi ears, everybody. Yeah, it's a good looking chi ears out there. Blessings, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us, and drink your tea. Don't forget.